think I would actually do a live like this, but I don't see anyone else doing it. And I don't think a lot of people understand how difficult it is to actually fast. Um, Not difficult, but it's really challenging and draining to actually endure 30 days um, of fasting, which is basically you not eating during the day, not drinking, and not just that, avoiding doing all sorts of wrong things. So I wanted to do the stream to actually um, celebrate all these because a lot of people like make fun of this thing. Whenever people like Islam Makhachev or Khamzat Chimaev, Umar, Khabib, and all these type of fighters are basically going through, or rather saying that they cannot fight because they are fasting. They're made fun of basically. They're like, oh, you're scared, you're not active, and all those type of things. To some extent, that might be true, but it's important to also understand what these people go through every single time they decide to actually fast, right? So I wanted to highlight that fact that these people, on a period of 30 days, people like Hamzat, when they say they are fasting and they cannot fight, it's largely because during the day they are not allowed to eat, they're not allowed to drink anything. So imagine not eating anything throughout the whole day and having to endure an athlete level kind of training. Imagine how difficult that would be. So that's basically what these fighters go through. And I feel like a lot of the topic of them, fasting and them being Muslims and all these type of things, it's publicized, but I don't feel like it's respected by a lot of the fans. So I wanted to be the channel that actually shows love to these people. What they do is not necessarily easy. And on top of that, it's probably because of that they are able to perform at such a peak level because of their devotion, because of their dedication to their religion. It makes it 10 times more easier for them to be focused solely on MMA, and as a result, we get a lot of dominant fighters from that region or from that particular religion. And which is basically one of the most underrated things because people act like it's a coincidence that all these Muslim fighters are so good, but it's not necessarily a coincidence. When you can't party, when you don't drink alcohol, when you don't smoke, when you don't do all these things that are not normal fighters or normal people do. Not every fighter. I'm not saying every fighter, does all these things, but when you don't do all these things that obviously contaminate your body and you go through things like fasting for like 30 days, it makes it more likely that you'll be able to focus a little bit more on your training and becoming better, which is basically what Hamzat was doing for the majority of his life. I think a lot of people know the story that Hamzat used to live at the gym that he used to train at in Sweden, and all he would do is eat, is wake up, eat, train the whole entire day, and then go back to sleep. That was his life. And even now, that's why he's massively successful, which is the same thing that people like Islam do. That's what they call entertainment, that's what they call their fun, that's what they call relaxation, in their opinion. So I wanted to say Eid Mubarak to them. They are done fasting at this point. So all the Muslim fighters that have been saying we cannot fight because we are fasting, people like Bilal, but Bilal sometimes fights even when he's fasting. So I don't know how I feel about that, but it is what it is. But people like Hamzat, people like Islam Makhachev, Umar Nurmagomedov, um, all these Muslim fighters are now going to start being active, which is really exciting. Obviously, we already know that Khamzat's fight has already been announced for Saudi Arabia. I'm sure that his fight is already in the works. I'm assuming it'll be around June because that's when he said he wants to fight. There are a lot of them are going to start being active. I'm sure even Bilal is going to be fighting pretty soon. But I don't think it would have made any difference. If they said fight on 300, I'm sure Bilal would have been like, I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause. I'm not half bold, but I'm not half bold. So yeah, I just wanted to celebrate these people. I feel like they don't get enough appreciation from the fans. Um, they keep getting made fun of for whatever reason. Um, and yeah, I hope they see this, and I hope they know there are people out there who appreciate them and who appreciate the result of them being dedicated in what they believe in. Because the result of them being dedicated in what they believe in means that we get higher level of fighters. We get. I don't know. A lot of people like to say. Yeah, yeah, man. Sugar cane. Thank you, man. It's really important for us to show love, even though I know that a lot of people don't really like to say this, but it is true. Whenever you're a Muslim fighter, you get a little bit like you get treated a little bit different in the UFC. Not by the UFC, but mainly by the fans. There's this negative thing about them. I don't know why, because the result of them being so dedicated to what they do, is that we get high level fighters like Khamzat. Even though guys complain about his cardio and all these type of things, but you cannot argue the level of skill that he has. He's been fighting world champions in his last few fights. Like Bilal, what do you call him? Kamaru Usman was pound for pound number one in his last three fights. 3 fights ago, Usman was like pound for pound was the champion. What do you call Gilbert Burns? Gilbert Burns was like a world jiu-jitsu champion. So he's been fighting really decent fighters, and I'm also looking forward to Robert Whittaker and all these type of things. So yeah, that's largely what I wanted to say. And I'm hoping that a lot of people, instead of just trying to make fun of these people, educate yourself on what they're doing and the level of difficulty it requires. Because I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't even imagine going the whole day without eating. Intentionally, obviously, if you don't have the money, it's a different story. But if you have the money and you don't have a problem with money, I don't think there are many people who can imagine or even consciously decide to say, especially men. Maybe women might do it for weight loss or whatever the case is, but I don't think there are a lot of people in the world who can say, I'm going to consciously deprive myself of food during the day, just so that I can abstain from negative things and actually show my commitment to the person that I worship and all those type of things. And yeah, I'm expecting, and that's why these people are so dominant. When someone is this dedicated to what they believe in, it's not going to be surprising that these people have undefeated records, in their names. Like, look at people like Ankalaev, Habib Nurmagomedov, Umar Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, Bilal Muhammad, undefeated, but he's on a very long streak. So it's not surprising that these people end up, performing at the level that they're performing at. So yeah, the most important thing that I want people to take away from this stream is to actually give a little bit more respect to these people, because when they say we can't fight, it's not necessarily a joke, or it's not them avoiding anyone. It's because they are observing something they truly believe in, I sincerely believe in, and it's not something that's easy to do. That imagine you trying to run a marathon while hungry. Like, would you be able to do? I'm not even talking about the training process that you have to go through. I'm just talking about you saying, I'm not going to eat the whole day, but I'm going to run a marathon. Imagine how difficult that would be. So yeah, today is ending. I'm sure if you follow them, you'll probably see pictures, but they don't like to take a lot of pictures. There's going to be feasts around the world, not just obviously I'm talking to MMA, but again UFC fighters. But this message is for every single Muslim that was fasting. We appreciate all of you and Eid Mubarak. Uh, yeah, the crowd because they are tired of them. Okay, I'm going to do my UFC 300 final predictions tomorrow, or maybe I might do them today, depending on how I feel. Yeah, this will be the end of the stream. I appreciate all of you. Deuces.